UFC 317 is being billed as the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. It's International Fight Week. We have 2 different title fights. We have Topuria vacating his belt to move up a weight class and chase another. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC 317 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings fantasy plays. But before I do that, let me show you the biggest ripoff in sports betting. There are companies out there that offer tools. They offer insight. They offer information. We do that. We charge $10. Here's a look at some of the other ones. SaberSim is a company that offers a simulator, very much like ours, and they charge $100 a month. $100 a month for the starter version. If you really give a shit, you could pay $300 for the ultimate. If we go back to my website, oh, here it is. Here's our event simulator, and I'll just do it live. We're going to click Run Simulator. This is just grinding all the gears, pulling in historical grappling stats and striking stats and putting it all together. And there it goes. It spit out the results from 100,000 simulations. And here they are. Well, looks like Ilya's going to win a shit ton. And it says he's going to score 84.7 points on average. But if we go to the win distribution, he's going to score 96.38 points. If I want to see more stats, like how many significant strikes are we seeing Ilya land in this? Looks like the average across the wins and the losses is 50. This event simulator is included in everything we offer at WeWantPicks.com. If we go ahead and take a look at Roto Grinders, the quote-unquote leader in the daily fantasy space, if the only thing you care about is MMA and you wanted their tools, like their optimizer, $50, $50 a month. And quite literally, the only thing you're getting is the optimizer, strategy from experts, which is an article, and then access to a Discord. Well, our Discord is free. Our optimizer is included in everything that we offer. And here it is. Not only is this a normal optimizer that does everything you would expect it to do, like minimum exposure, maximum exposure, we have an industry-first beginner mode. I fully expect that many thousands of you watching these videos don't even care about the DraftKings part or even know how to use a DraftKings fantasy optimizer. So for you, we have added a beginner mode. It's just going to ask you logical questions instead of expecting you to understand and be able to use the tool. We're welcoming you into it so that you can just go ahead and answer those questions, learn, and work your way up the list. The DraftKings optimizer, the event simulator, 25 other things, all available in one package. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10 for the entire package. No upsells, no cross-sells, no weird, ridiculous pricing tiers, no absurd pricing, nothing. There's no packages. It's $10 for literally everything on the website. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. You're going to get UFC 317, UFC 318, and there are 2 fight nights in there as well. WeWantPicks.com. Let's go ahead and break down this card. We're going to open it up with Jacobe Smith and Niko Price. This should be a very straightforward win for Jacobe Smith. He is an absurd $9,900. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody priced at $9,900. I'm thinking back. I really, genuinely, Amanda Nunes is the most expensive fighter I've ever seen, and I don't think I've seen her as high as $9,900. Jacobe Smith might be the most expensive fighter we've ever hit, and the reality is he might be worth it. If you spent $9,900 on him in his last fight, he scored 105 points. He got a first-round finish, and he's going to do the same here. He's taking on Niko Price. Niko Price is exciting. He's fun. He's going to come forward. He's going to get after it. There's no such thing as a hang out on the outside game plan from Niko Price. And because of that, and because he probably smokes a little too much weed, and his chin isn't there, and he's getting a little older, and he's just going to get after it, dude gets finished in the first round. He's not worth his salary. Jacobe is probably worth his. And I finally turned off the ad blocker, and look at this shit. DraftKings loading us up with ads. What an absolute joke. I didn't even know those were there because I have the ad blocker. But I had to turn it off because the computer was getting slow. Then we have Jhonata Diniz. Short notice matchup here. Jhonata Diniz is taking on Alvin Hines. Jhonata, as we all know, a high-level striker. He's been a professional kickboxer for quite a bit of time. And then he moved over to MMA. In MMA, he does what you expect a high-level kickboxer to do. He hits hard. He's great at kickboxing. Sucks on his back. If you take this dude down, he's absolutely useless. The analogy I used in the Quick Picks video was he's a turtle. You go find a turtle with you go to the park, you know, look at that little turtle. Flip that bitch over. It's going nowhere. And that's exactly what happens with Jhonata Diniz. That is why Some people are on the other side. Some people do think Alvin Hines is going to win. He's stepping up on short notice. This is his UFC debut. He is undefeated in his career, but he's only got 6 fights. The reality is Alvin Hines is a big dude. He's got a little bit of wrestling in there. He's not fast. He's not athletic. He's going to move forward. He's going to swing all wild, slow, and stupid. There will be power there. Then he's going to try to grab on the Jhonata and drag him to the ground. I don't see it happening. I think if he comes in all reckless, bombing, no clean technique, he's too slow. I think if he comes in like that, thinking he's going to get an easy takedown, I think he's going to get slept. So Jhonata is going to be the pick. Jhonata will be in my DraftKings fantasy lineup because I think he's as close to a guaranteed knockout as you're going to get outside of Jacobe Smith. The two of them, right off the rip, I think they both get first-round finishes, and I think they both cover their salaries. It's me again, but I'm in a different outfit on a different day because I had already filmed this video. I'm heading to UFC 317 tomorrow, so I filmed this ahead of time. The breakdown wasn't going to change. It was ready to go, and then SD Dumas couldn't fight. And he couldn't fight because they couldn't get the ankle monitor off of him in time. And that is not sarcasm. That is not being funny and mean and making fun of his ridiculous arrest record. That is quite literally the truth. He could not get a judge to approve removing his ankle monitor in time. So he's out. And we have a brand new fight. We have Christopher Ewert stepping up on 4 days short notice to take on Jackson McVey. Both of these guys are brand new UFC debuts. Christopher is the slight favorite here. The reality is if they both had full-blown fight camps, Chris would probably be a massive favorite, and I'd be all over him. With just 4 days notice, it's a little tricky. He was supposed to fight on the Contender Series later this summer, so I imagine he's doing something. He's in some sort of fight camp. It's a little early, but he's doing something. His nickname is El Tanque, or The Tank, and that's kind of how he fights. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most skilled guy in the world, but he moves forward. He just gets after it. He gets in your face. You can tell he hits hard. You can tell he's tough. He can take a beating. He's just doing all the things. He's defending takedowns. He's not actively shooting takedowns, but he can if he needs to. He's pretty early in his career, but this dude is tough. He is durable. He will get in your face, and he will just grind. Nothing flashy, nothing fancy, but you can tell every single thing this guy does hurts, is intense, and you can tell he's going to be a problem for a lot of people at this level. And also at this level is Jackson McVey. I picked Jackson McVey to beat SD Dumas, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that SD Dumas was hiding in a dog cage 2 months ago and then locked up in jail. The reality is Jackson McVey's tall as shit. He's 6'4" for this weight class. He's got really long limbs, and he uses those well. He uses them well at range when striking, and then inside the pocket, he will snatch things up. He'll just jump on your neck. He'll grab darces. He will literally use those ridiculously long limbs to tie you up and find a submission. Jackson McVey is good. I loved him against SD Dumas, but this feels like a much trickier fight. This is a very tricky situation where he's going to get a guy who's a little shorter, but pretty yoked up, who's tough as nails. I don't think that Christopher Ewert's just going to put his neck into a submission, and I think Christopher's just going to hit a little harder and push Jackson around. But Ewert might get tired because he's stepping up on 4 days' notice. I'm not touching either side of this fight. I'm not touching it. Use the DraftKings optimizer. See what that has to say. See what that does with your lineups. If you're doing multiple, maybe you need some exposure to both. I'm not touching it. There's just too many weird circumstances here. Both are UFC debuts. Both somewhat short notice. One shorter notice than the other, but the even shorter notice guy is the one who I think is better. There's too much going on here. I'm going to leave this fight alone, but I am picking El Tanque to win the fight. I don't think Jackson's going to be able to find a submission, and El Tanque has a ridiculous chin on him. So even if Jackson's hitting him with the long kicks, the long strikes, I don't think it's going to matter. I think Christopher Ewert's just going to eat that and keep moving forward, and the judges are going to love it. Christopher Ewert is the pick. If he was somehow the dog or far more affordable, maybe, but too many weird circumstances here. We have some other much better spots on this card. Then we have Terrance McKinney taking on Viacheslav Borshchev. This might be worth the money. He's only a couple $100 more than Jackson. We all know how insanely good Terrance McKinney can be. The dude's a nasty wrestler. He's got incredible power. And if you just took first round Terrance McKinney, not even the full first round, if you took the first 3 minutes of the first round Terrance McKinney, and was able to extend that like a picture in Photoshop, you just drag the corner and like make this longer, that dude would be a world champion. He's got power. He's got speed. He has incredible wrestling. He can finish people any way he wants. Like, this dude is unbelievable for a few minutes, but then his chin gives out. He slows down, gets a little too reckless. He's $8,600, but if we look at his wins, the dude's scoring over 100 points in every single one of his wins, except for Viacheslav. The problem is he's never seen a third round. So if you think Terrance McKinney wins, he 100% needs to be in your lineup at $8,600 because he will score those points. But if you take a look at it and you say, hey, Viacheslav Borshchev is a high-level striker. Viacheslav Borshchev is the team alpha male striking coach, and this guy can do a whole lot of things. And if you take a look at it and you think he's durable and he can survive, then you cannot go with Terrance McKinney, because if Terrance McKinney doesn't get Viacheslav out of there early, then he's screwed, because Viacheslav, if he's tough and he hangs out and he sticks around, you could have some problems. I personally do think Terrance gets him out of there. I think Terrance wins this fight. I'm picking Terrance. I have a bet on Terrance in real life. The only issue here is that Viacheslav Borshchev can be durable at times. I do think that ship is sailing, though. He just went toe-to-toe with Tom Nolan. That was kind of a problem. I was hoping he would get finished in that fight so we could really be sure of ourselves. But Chase Hooper dropped him. You see he subbed him. Chase Hooper dropped him, then subbed him. So it's like if Chase Hooper's dropping you early, I have to imagine Terrance McKinney is just taking the head off your body, right? Like, that's the logic we're going to go here. Viacheslav, on paper, is a young guy. I think he's 33 years old. He's 59 years old in fight years. He has been through hell and back in multiple sports. I think he's just sort of getting to the washed category here, where Terrance McKinney seems to be finding his rhythm. We just need Terrance to be able to fight for more than 2.5 minutes. Like, more than 2.5 minutes, for the love of God. Then we have Tracy Cortez and Viviane Araujo. This is another interesting fight to break down. Tracy Cortez is very expensive at $8,900. In no world should you ever spend that money. Let's take a look at all her wins. 75 points, 80 points, 87 points, 80 points. We have to go back to her UFC debut to where she actually scored 103 points. Outside of that, she is just never worth $8,900. Ever. She's never scored 90 points outside of that UFC debut. The reality is Tracy Cortez is an okay striker, but a very good grappler. She wants to come forward, get the fight to the ground. If she gets it to the ground, she's got good submissions, but they're not good enough to get finishes at this level. So she doesn't. She gets takedowns. She's got some control. Because the grappling is so good, you can't just stand up on her and shake her. And she has no problem being boring as shit. 10 minutes of control, 7 minutes of control, 9 minutes of control, another 10 minutes of control. So if Tracy Cortez does what she's supposed to do, she'll get some takedowns. She'll score a very steady 75 to 80 points. But if I spent $8,900 on her, I need no more than that. She's taking on Viviane Araujo. Viviane Araujo is pretty big for this weight class, pretty strong, pretty explosive, pretty old. She's 38 years old. She always had questionable cardio. I don't think that's going to be any better now. Your cardio doesn't get better with age, despite my looks getting better with my age. Viviane Araujo is dangerous early. She is her own grappler. She also has some powerful striking. She's fast. She's athletic. She can do a whole bunch of stuff. She also has a spectacular 80% takedown defense. But what I imagine is going to happen here is Tracy's not going to get the early takedowns. She'll stick with it. Vivi will slow down, as she does in every single freaking fight. She even slowed. You're going to say, oh, she beat Karine Silva. Karine Silva gassed just right before Vivi did. Vivi also gassed, but Karine gassed first. So I do think Tracy Cortez wins. I'm going to pick her. I am not putting either one of these women in my DraftKings fantasy lineups because I just don't see them being worth that salary in any capacity at all. Then we have Jose Delgado, and he's taking on Hyder Amil. This is an interesting fight, and I was surprised to see that Hyder's a dog, but the reality is if you look at the line movement tracker on my website, it's a tool that we have. It gives you the opening odds for every fight, the current odds for every fight, what that line movement was between the two, and then what the win probability is. Jose Delgado opened as the underdog, and then money came in, moved the line. Now he's squarely the favorite, and it's continuing to widen. And I'm a bit surprised. Like, I fully understand he's 9-1. All 9 wins are by stoppage. He's a rangy striker. He uses kicks to stay on the outside. When he comes into the pocket, he's got power. He's got that sort of Mike Tyson movement where he just hits real hard and he's moving his upper body like crazy. He'll take chances. He'll throw spinning techniques. And obviously, he's a very dangerous guy. But he's fighting another very dangerous guy and somebody we've seen go the distance. Hyder Amil, first of all, has some good wins. As much as William Gomez has let us down in the past, he's a good fighter, and Hyder Amil was able to get that done, landing 115 significant strikes against one of the more elusive guys in the weight class. Hyder Amil can come forward, knock your head off. Hyder Amil can fight a hard fight for 15 full minutes. Hyder Amil can squeeze in the grappling. He is a wrestler and will work fights to the ground, but his hands are powerful. His hands are good enough that he'll hang out on his feet. So I personally think Hyder Amil wins this fight. I will spend the $7,700. And if this goes long, that's only going to favor Hyder because Jose Delgado has never won a decision in his life. And we just saw Hyder win a decision against somebody very good. I think the skills line up perfectly. And then once you factor in Hyder's ability to get to the ground, plus the extended cardio, Hyder is going to be the pick. I will put him in my lineup. Then we have Gregory Rodrigues taking on Jack Hermansson. This is a fight that I've gotten more confident in as the week has gone on. Similar narrative to if you watched our video last week, where I opened up saying, I'm going to pick Moto Bekorobai, but I'm not that confident. And then as the week went on, I got more and more and more confident. And then he went out there, was only one of two people on the card that got a finish. Gregory Rodrigues is that guy for me this week. I did the breakdown originally. I said the guy's got powerful hands. He's got good wrestling if he needs it. He's a black belt, doesn't always wrestle. But when we saw this fight against not Tim Duncan, that's a basketball player. CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, he went ahead and he got 4 takedowns. He went back to his wrestling roots and he said he was going to do that. In this fight, he may or may not do that, and I think he does if he's fine. If he's on his feet and he bombs away, I think he's fine there too. Gregory Rodrigues is very dangerous, but we saw in this fight against Jared Cannonier, he lost. He got finished in the 4th round. His cardio started to slow down. And I was putting a lot of stock into that because if we look at the inverse of that, he's fighting Jack Hermansson. Jack Hermansson just quite literally had the exact opposite fight. He was losing early to Joe Pyfer, and then he just survived the beating, was able to take over, was able to slow and steady the tortoise and the hare. That's a fable. He came out, he survived, and then he just took over. Won the last 3 rounds and won the fight. This is a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. Jack Hermansson is a very, very good grappler who, if you're on the ground with him, you have to worry. On the feet, he's not a phenomenal striker by any means, but he's just got good old-fashioned move forward, punches and bunches kind of technique. There's no real power there, but he is tough. He will let his hands go. He hasn't fought in over a year. That's why Gregory Rodrigues is the pick. I'm getting more and more confident as the week goes on. I think Gregory can win this on the feet. I think if he wants to shoot takedowns, I think he can still be fine on top. I understand Jack Hermansson is a very good grappler, but Gregory Rodrigues is his own jiu-jitsu black belt, and jiu-jitsu off your back is very different than jiu-jitsu on your feet. So Gregory is the pick. But I don't know if he's going to finish Jack because he might beat the hell out of him early. Jack survives. Then he loses, a 29-28. Gregory gets a decision win. Might not be worth this hefty salary. But Gregory Rodrigues is going to be the pick, and you got a couple of people around that price point to decide if you want them in your lineup or not. Before we jump into the main card, let me remind you about the event simulator. We coded this from scratch. This is a tool that we built from scratch. This isn't just like some information on a spreadsheet. This isn't just some bullshit Patreon where people list out 5 bets and then cross their fingers and beg. This is a tool that we coded. A developer wrote code to make a tool work on the website. And what this tool does is it takes every fight on the card and it simulates those fights 100,000 times. It factors in the win probability. It factors in grappling stats and striking stats. It factors in their historical records. And then it simulates the fights. It gives you the outputs of those simulations, but not only who wins or loses, but it also gives you other information. So if you go to your favorite sports book and your sports book allows you to bet on takedowns, over or unders, well, we have that. In the 100,000 simulations, this is saying Ilia Topuria is going to average 0.35 takedowns. And obviously, 0.35 takedowns isn't a thing. So that means they're not expecting him to get a takedown in these simulations. If we go to, let's say, Prize Picks fantasy points, we can now see that line here as well. So you can take all this data, all this information, any fighter on the card, you can deep dive the stats, you can drag this line to see what you want to compare it to, and then you can go ahead and use that information to make money other places. This is available with everything else that we do, WeWantPicks.com. If we go back to DraftKings, let's go ahead and hit that main card. We're going to open it up with Payton Talbott taking on Felipe Lima. This is a fight that was already on the card, but they moved it to the main card after we lost the Paulo Costa fight. Felipe Lima is the favorite here, which is a little bit surprising considering Payton Talbott was a minus 1,200 favorite in his last fight. And he just got out-wrestled by a 5-time Brazilian national champion wrestler. Now here he is, a square underdog. Felipe Lima was somebody I immediately was going to fade. I was like, dude, we're getting Payton Talbott at this price. These people fucked up. They overcompensated. The recency bias overcompensated. Then I went back. I watched the Felipe Lima tape. And it was a problem. Like, this dude's good. Felipe Lima is very, very good. He's a well-rounded guy. He's got creative striking. He's got good grappling. He's the one who took down Miles Johns twice. Miles Johns was a collegiate wrestler. Felipe Lima outstruck him. Felipe Lima took him down twice. He obviously has the win over Muhammad Naimov. Like, Felipe Lima's a problem. He is very, very good, and he's very good everywhere, and I fully understand why he's the favorite. He's taking on Payton Talbott. Payton Talbott's a long, lean guy for this weight class. He is also a fallen prospect. He knocked out he subbed Nick Aguirre, knocked out Cameron Saman, who we now know is chinny as shit, knocked out Giannis Gamori, who I don't even think he's in the UFC anymore. That guy sucks. And then he finally fights somebody good, and he loses. And that's an unfortunate tale. Because the UFC was putting a ton of money into this guy, really marketing him, pushing him. Pretty sure this is his month, if you get my drift. Wink, wink. The reality is Payton Talbott is still good. He's tall for the division. He used that length really well. He throws 1-2s, an incredible pace. He finds the big shots. He doesn't ever panic. He's fully composed. The biggest issue is he cannot defend takedowns to save his life, and I think that's going to be the problem in this fight. Not just because Felipe Lima is going to shoot a bunch of takedowns, but Felipe Lima can threaten the takedowns. And for all we know, Payton's got PTSD from losing that last fight. So Felipe's throwing big 1-2s and then threatening the takedowns, coming up with an uppercut. He's going to have Payton guessing all over the place, and if he wants to shoot takedowns, he can. So Felipe Lima is going to be the pick. I don't know if he's going to be worth the salary because Payton's a pretty tough dude. And Payton could have success here as well. So I don't necessarily think that Felipe Lima is going to finish Payton, but I do think he's going to win. Then we work our way up and we have Renato Moicano taking on Beneil Dariush. Listen, okay? Listen carefully. I think Renato Moicano is a little overrated. Okay? I think he found his stride and the circumstances lined up perfectly. Okay? He beats Brad Riddell. That dude's no longer in the UFC. Actually, I think they just announced the fight for him. He hasn't fought in years, okay? He beats Drew Dober. That's because this dumb asshole, Drew Dober, while was having grappling success, tries a takedown in the third. It's 1-1 going in the third, and he just tries a lateral drop like an idiot, and he pulls Renato Moicano onto himself. So he took himself down to lose the round, okay? That's why he lost that fight. Then Jalen Turner knocks Moicano out, like blasts him in the face. Moicano falls down like a tree, laying there. So Jalen Turner, like an idiot, turns around, starts celebrating, walking away. And the referee's like, dude, no, I didn't stop this fight. You got to keep fighting. So he had his full adrenaline dump. He comes back around. Moicano's able to rally because he is tough as shit. He's able to rally and he's able to get it done against a no adrenaline having Jalen Turner. And then with Benoit Saint-Denis, two things. One, turns out Benoit's overrated. Two, he catches the kick, gets him to the ground, and mauls him. So these are real wins, and Moicano earned them, but I don't think Renato Moicano is who he was on the trajectory to be. Like, he fought for the title. He didn't earn a title shot, not with these wins. These wins don't earn you a title shot. He got it because he was on the card, he was on a nice win streak, and the fight dropped. And I'm giving you all that information because I do think Beneil Dariush wins this fight. But I'm starting to backtrack. And I might full flip the pick just to spite the public because the public's a bunch of fucking idiots. We all know that. You know it. I know it. I'm part of the public. We're all fucking idiots. Everybody's an idiot. Oban Elliott, you morons. And this wouldn't be the first time that the collective public was like, this underdog's the best underdog on the card. And then they bet the shit out of him, and he just went out there and lost. And that's where we might be with Beneil Dariush. The guy's an underdog. He got this close to being a favorite, started to widen again. I don't know if he's going to be favored come fight night, but everybody loves Beneil. I'm not seeing a lot of people picking Renato Moicano. And the reality is Beneil Dariush is a no-gi BJJ world champion. He's got some of the best scrambles you will ever see in your life. Go rewatch this Gamrot fight. That was insane. But the problem is we are 3 years from that, or 2.5 years from that fight. Obviously, Charles Oliveira knocked him out, but honestly, Beneil had a little bit of success in that Oliveira fight before that knockout. Arman Sarukian, that's another knockout. That's a problem. Renato Moicano doesn't have the big knockout power in the hands, which is why I'm still going to lean Beneil. Because if Hanato just moves forward and wants to initiate the grappling exchanges, I fully trust Beneil to out-grapple Hanato Moicano. But this is a situation where I do have some... I don't like to see everybody on the same person because everybody's an idiot. No offense to the everybody's watching. So that's the one thing that worries me. And then the other thing that brings me back is Hanato Moicano. I think does he have a new... I don't know if he has a kid, but Hanato Moicano just opened the gym. Hanato Moicano's got the podcast. Like, he's got too much shit going on in his life right now. He's basically not training. They even said it on his podcast. They're like, oh, yeah, he's not here, and here's 15 reasons why he's just so busy. And it's like, oh, shit. He is busy. To be training for a huge fight like this, it's because he made like $1 million when he stepped up to fight Islam. You give somebody $1 million. Look what happened to Conor. Obviously, it wasn't $1 million. It was more than $1 million. But you give somebody that kind of money, the motivation changes a little bit. So I'm still going to pick Beneil. I just hate that every asshole with a microphone and a camera is also picking Beneil. For the record, I picked him first, all right? I picked him months ago at UFC 311. And that week of UFC 311, I'm the first video out every time. So I'm the first person telling the public. So I did it first. I'm not saying people copied, but I certainly didn't copy them. Now I hate it. Then we have Brandon Royval taking on Joshua Van. This is another new matchup on this card. It's the oldest of the new matchups. I think this was put together about a month ago, 3-4 weeks ago. Brandon Royval was supposed to fight Manel Kape. Manel Kape drops, and now here Royval is. He's an $8,200 favorite in DraftKings Fantasy. He is squarely the underdog on the DraftKings Sportsbook and every other sportsbook. Brandon Royval is a busy guy. He's got cardio for days. He gets in your face. He's dangerous. He'll find submissions and scrambles. He'll lay you out with his hands. Brandon Royval is good. He's pretty good everywhere. And that's why I picked him to win. But now we're all being reminded about why he pulled out of his last fight. And it was because he had a nasty concussion. Couldn't see, couldn't talk. Things were not good. Things were not good. And that is a little concerning. Now he's talking about moving up in weight, unrelated to the concussion. He's making comments like the heavyweight classes make more money. I want more money. So I'm just starting to get a little nervous about Brandon Royval because he's taking on Josh Van, young, hungry, 23-year-old prospect Joshua Van. He's just a very good striker with great takedown defense and composure. That's Josh Van in a nutshell. He's getting farther and farther away from this knockout loss to Charles Johnson. Personally, I don't think that's like... I'm going to make two statements here. One, I don't think that's aging well, meaning it's not like Charles Johnson knocked out Josh Van and then knocked out 3 other people. Charles Johnson has only knocked out Jimmy Flick, who sucks and he's gone, and Josh Van. That's it. Charles Johnson, I love the guy. He's been on our show. Great guy. Tons of talent. Unbelievable fighter. But he's not exactly taking people's heads off. So to knock out Josh Van like that was like, oh shit. What's up with this? But it is aging well, or at least it's getting farther and farther in the rearview mirror because he beat Edgar Chairez, he beat Cody Durden, he beat Rai Tesura, he beat Bruno Silva. But if I look at these fighters, Edgar Chairez is not very good. He's just tough. Cody Durden is just a chinny old man wrestler at this point. Rai Tesura is only a wrestler at this point. And as we saw in Josh Van's UFC debut against Zalmagulov, he's got phenomenal takedown defense. So Josh Van is able to defend the takedowns, and he's got very clean, crisp striking. I just don't know how well it's going to work for him here because Brandon Royval is a different level. He has fought for a world title and then stayed in the top 5 of the division. It's not like he worked his way up to a title, lost that fight, and then downward spiral. He worked his way up. He's continuing to hang out at that level. So I do think Brandon Royval can win this with just good old-fashioned experience. I think he's the more versatile fighter. He doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to strike. He can do all the things and find an opportunity. He's also massive, has incredible cardio. If it wasn't for the concussion and Brandon just not shutting the hell up about it, Brandon would be in my DraftKings fantasy lineup. But now I do have doubts because he just keeps talking about it. So now I've got my doubts. I'm probably not going to put Brandon in my lineup. I still am going to pick him to win. Then we have the co-main event of the evening, Kai Kara-France versus Alexandre Pantoja. I don't think Kai Kara wins. He's just a little itty-bitty Tweety bird, and I just don't think he's going to get it done. And that's the reality of it. Of course, he's got some power in his hands, but a lot of it has to do with speed and timing. He's lightning fast. But if we look at his recent record here, you knocked out Steve Erceg after losing 2 in a row to get a title shot? Steve Erceg sucks. I think we've all figured that out by now. Steve Erceg was very overrated. So you knocked out an overrated Steve Erceg. Congratulations. You knocked out Cody Garbrandt, who was experimenting with weight classes. Congratulations. Losing to Royval. I mean, that's a quality loss. All his losses are quality. I'm not trying to say Kai Kara-France sucks. I'm trying to say he's in this title fight because of the state of this division. He has lost to 2 other top 5 fighters, and Albazi just lost, so it's not like his loss is aging well. He's lost to 2 other top 5 fighters, but he got himself a title shot because this division's not good, and Pantoja's cleaned it out. Kai Kara-France is a very good striker. A very good striker, but if they had a 115-pound division, he would be there. He's not quite big enough, and that doesn't always matter because sometimes the speed, the footwork, the hands, that's enough, but it's not going to be enough here because Alexandre Pantoja is going to move forward, be a bully, get his giant, at least for 125 pounds, pause on Kai Kara-France, slow him down, drag him to the ground, and then get it done. Does he win by submission? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. He just did it to Kai Asakura. Maybe he just wins by being a bully and dragging it out. And people are going to say, oh, he lost to Steve Erceg. I don't think he lost that fight. I thought that was a very clear win. 9 takedowns, 8 minutes of control. That seemed like a pretty clear win to me. The Brandon Moreno fight, that was razor thin. I was there in person. This was razor thin. But what was impressive about that fight is he poured it on. He did not stop coming forward. He did not quit. 5th round, same energy, continuing the move. So the reality is, Alexandre Pantoja, I think, gets another title defense here. I think he's cleaned out the division. I think he's going to win, and I think he's worth $9,000. We have 5 rounds to work with, and look at the 103, 143, 143, 143, 100. He puts up numbers. You're almost better off for him not winning by finish so that he can put up these 143, 143 style numbers. And then we have the main event of the evening. Everybody loves Charles Oliveira. I fully understand why people love him. I just don't think he's going to win this fight. Ilia Topuria, $9,300. He's been knocking people's heads off. He's knocked out everybody's favorite fighters. The reality is Ilia Topuria is a Georgian who can wrestle like a Georgian. He's living in Spain, so he's got the suave of a Espanol, and he's got phenomenal clean boxing. The boxing is crisp. It's clean. He's got great head work, good movement, great power. Obviously, he was the 145-pound champion. He's moving up to 155. Maybe there's this ridiculous, massive size difference, and nobody realized how huge Charles Oliveira is. But the reality is Charles Oliveira is on the downslide of his career. Ilia Topuria is on the up. Charles Oliveira has the most amount of submission wins in UFC history, but it hasn't worked against the high-level wrestlers. He didn't have it against Armin. Obviously, he had him in a little bit of trouble, but Armin was able to work through that. He didn't get it against Islam. And I don't think Charles Oliveira is going to outstrike as well. Charles Oliveira also gets dropped in every fight that he's in. So we have the hardest puncher at 145 pounds moving up. I imagine the power goes with him. I imagine if he doesn't cut the weight, he might have even more power. Taking on an aging vet that has been dropped in the past that probably needs a submission to win. I'm full-blown on the Ilia side. I do think he wins. I do think he wins by finish. But it may look like a Josh Emmett fight. Maybe where he's just staying safe. He's a little cautious, so he's just battering his face and Charles survives. But I don't think Charles could take the beating that Josh Emmett took. I do not think that. The pick is going to be Ilia Topuria. If you want to throw him in your lineup, $9,300 doesn't seem outrageous. I do think he wins by finish. Guys, check out the optimizer. I mentioned we have the industry-first beginner mode. There's not a single person on this planet. I invented this. I didn't code it. I'm not a coder. But I told the developer, hey, I want a beginner mode. Think TurboTax. But I want that for an optimizer because I know how many people watch don't fully understand what an optimizer is or how to use it. So instead of assuming that our community knows how to do everything, let's help them. Let's build tools that suit them. And that's what we did with the DraftKings Optimizer. If you're looking at this and you just see all these numbers and you see all the tickets and all these people winning 60 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, and you're like, I want to do that. How do I do it? Well, under DraftKings in the menu, go to Optimizer and then click Beginner Mode. And this will just ask you questions. The first question, are there any fighters you absolutely do not want in your lineups? If so, uncheck them. Then it says, pick 3 favorites you're most confident in. Then it's going to ask you to pick a couple of dogs. Then it's going to ask a few other questions that are logical, easy to understand. Those answers will build out your lineups for you. We also have the event simulator. Not only will this build DraftKings lineups for you as well, it'll also give you every stat, detail, and insight along the way so that you can use that information to find your spots, placing bets, and doing other things. We have a ridiculous amount to offer, and it's only $10. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You unlock all of it instantly. Roto Grinders is charging $50 for MMA. Just one sport. Saber Sim charging $100 a month for their starter pack. Like, this is fucking bullshit. It's me. It's Jacob, Josh the web guy, and then we got a developer and a couple of other people that help here and there, and we're giving you the best offer in this space. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Good luck this weekend. I will be there in person. I hope to meet some of you. Come say hi. I'll get you a drink. Good luck.